16 weight loss myths that are keeping you fat. A lot of people are going to disagree with this. When I was fat myself, I would have disagreed with at least 14 out of these 16. All of these are coming from the lens of what actually works in the long run. So if you find yourself questioning some of these, just keep in mind, we're coming back to sustainability every single time. We're not interested in weight loss here. We're only interested in the sustainability of the results. So grab a pen, grab a paper. You're going to want to take some notes because some of these you probably believe are true right now the same way that I did when I was in your same position. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nick. I lost 110 pounds in 2019 after a lifetime of losing weight and gaining it back on every single diet known to mankind. In 2019, I built something for myself called the Common Sense Diet System, lost 110 pounds, and have kept it off for 6 years with ease. I have no cravings. I don't count calories. I'm not actually on a diet, and food makes my life better instead of worse. So if you've never heard of me before and this is your first time on the show, you've got 80-something episodes to catch up on, and I'm looking forward to being on the journey with you. Let's go ahead and get right into it. The first fitness myth that is keeping you fat is weight loss is all about willpower. Weight loss is all about willpower. Just do it like it's some kind of Nike commercial. Just eat less and move more. Willpower is important. The issue is that most people, including myself, put a bunch of willpower into things that are not actually sustainable. So what we end up doing is going, okay, keto is going to be my thing. Fasting is going to be my thing. Counting every single calorie in my fitness pal is going to be my thing. And we willpower and discipline and discipline and discipline and discipline, but we don't have the presence to actually pause and ask ourselves, is this something that I can do for life? So what we end up doing is putting discipline into something that we actually do not want to be disciplined in forever, even exercising, right? For a lot of my journey, I over-exercised, and I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do for life. But the people that are walking 20,000 steps per day, it's the same kind of thing. We're just going to will ourselves to weight loss. Unless you are committing to a lifetime of existing in that willpower, you are going to eventually quit and gain the weight back. You're better off taking that discipline and that willpower and that energy and that motivation in the beginning and putting it towards actually changing your baseline habits. Because when life gets stressful, you're going to come back to whatever systems you have in place and whatever your defaults are. And if you're just existing in a hyper-disciplined state of doing something that you don't actually want to do and don't actually see yourself doing long-term just to hit a number on the scale, as soon as life gets hard and stress starts happening and you get sick, your kid gets sick, or you get broken up with, or you don't get that raise, or you have a quote-unquote cheat meal, you're going to say, fuck it, and everything's going to go out the window. Weight loss is not about willpower. Weight loss is about changing your baseline habits in the way you look at yourself and the world and food. Number 2 is macros over mindset. That's a great transition. It is about macros, right? Macros, I mean calories and protein. Your fats and your carbs and all this shit do not matter when it comes to actual sustainable weight loss. They matter when it comes to what you physically weigh on the scale, because if you eat 2,000 calories of bread versus 2,000 calories of meat, you will weigh more the next day after eating 2,000 calories of bread because you're going to be so bloated, right? So when it comes to the actual, we're talking about weight loss versus fat loss are not the same thing, right? Macros over mindset, your macros literally do not matter. Your ratio of fat to carbs do not matter. You need to be eating in a calorie deficit, and we're going to talk about on this show some ways to make that really stupidly easy for you so that you don't have to do all this calorie counting bullshit all the time. Your calories matter and your protein matter. Protein matters because it keeps you full and because it's going to help you maintain muscle mass so you don't look flabby and soft the way that I did after I lost weight because I didn't really eat enough protein or really lift any weights at all when I lost weight for the last time 6 years ago in 2019. Your mindset matters so much more than the macros. So much more, because you can eat perfect macros Monday through Thursday and then get to Friday and be like, oh my God, fuck it all. And then you kind of you start going out the window. So your macros and your mindset are very closely linked, right? If you have a healthy mindset, you're not going to be constantly overeating all the time. You can be you can be super dialed on your macros and super focused Monday through Thursday, and then you get to Friday and it doesn't matter how good you were on your macros because your mindset sucks. So they're both very important, but it's not macros over mindset. Again, fats and carbs don't matter. Where calories and protein are all that we're interested in. The balance of fat and carbs, don't even count that kind of stuff anymore. Not relevant at all. But your mindset is as important, if not more important, than the calories and the protein that you're eating, because they're directly linked to each other. Number 3 is that cardio is the king of fat loss. Anytime that you find yourself saying that exercise is the king of fat loss, you never, ever want to correlate any sort of movement to weight loss, ever. Because we're playing the game of how can we live at our weight loss goal already? What are we going to do after we hit our weight loss goal? The reality is that most people over cardio or just over exercise in general, and then end up realizing that they don't want to exist again in that hyper disciplined state of doing excessive exercise. So they end up getting to their weight loss goal, and then they stop exercising with the same intensity or the same duration. And it's not just that they're not burning as many calories, it's that they just killed all of their consistency and realized they never actually built a baseline habit. So cardio is not king for fat loss. You do not want to connect movement to fat loss in general. We exercise for our mind and to prove to ourselves that we can build consistency. And we take that same consistency and we put it into healthy eating. Disconnect exercise from weight loss at all costs. This is one of the most important things for those of you that are over cardioing and over exercising. That all being said, daily walking is absolutely a superb way to just feel better about your life. And when you feel better about your life, you are going to feel better about food and feel like food has less of control over you. And prove to yourself that you can be consistent. Number 4 is that you have to burn off what you eat. Who's been there before? Oh my God, I ate 2 pieces of pizza and I shouldn't have done that. Then on the way home, I was like, oh, get a Dairy Queen Blizzard. A small, I'll get a medium. Usually get a large, get a medium, you know. Get the Heat Bar one, I'll get no caramel because it's 27 calories less per half serving or whatever. Then you wake up the next day, or you're up late. This might be more relevant. You're up late and, you know, you go to eat a piece of candy, you sneak it, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, your kids see it. You're like, oh, don't worry, honey. Don't worry, kids. I'm going to burn it off tomorrow. Again, we do not want to correlate exercise to our eating habits in any way. We don't want to be doing so much movement that it forces us to want to eat more food. And we don't want to be eating more food so that it forces us to do more movement. You do not have to burn off what you eat. The exercise is not something that you have to do to burn off the food that you ate. And that's an excuse and a lie that we really tell ourselves. But you're never going to burn off that food. It's a lot easier to eat 100 calories less than it is to burn 100 calories more through exercise. Number 5 is that fast results equals best plan. We all kind of logically know this, but we don't really know it for the right reason. The main reason why losing weight fat, everyone says things like when you lose it slower, it's more sustainable, but I don't think most people really know why. I didn't really know why at the time. It's because when you're in too deep of a calorie deficit, your cravings are intense and the food noise never really goes away. So you're just existing with the hyper, thinking about how hungry you are, thinking about your cravings, and it kind of perpetuates this cheat meal idea of needing to make up for the deep deficit so you don't feel so low energy. The biggest thing that we're working towards with sustainable weight loss is freedom. It's not a number on the scale, it's freedom. And you will never feel the freedom while you're actually on your journey if you're losing weight too fast, because it's going to suck the whole time. So if your weight loss journey sucks, which if you're losing weight super fast, it definitely does, right? Been there. I know you have too. You might even be there right now, which is okay. But this is your invitation and your opportunity to focus on being in less deep of a deficit. Put yourself in a 300 to 400 calorie deficit instead of an 800 to 900 calorie deficit, and feel how much more sustainable that is. Your results are going to go slower. We are not interested in weight loss. We are interested in the sustainability of the results. You need to start living the lifestyle as if you're already at your weight loss goal right now. And it's very hard to do that when you're in a super deep deficit. So fast results typically do not work for most people. Myth number 6, cardio is cardio. And what I mean by this is the people that are like, well, you know, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes on my treadmill inside or do my elliptical for 20 minutes inside instead of walking for 20 minutes outside. 20 minutes of cardio is 20 minutes of cardio. You might burn the same amount of calories, but what you're missing is the lifestyle piece of this. When you wake up in the morning and go outside on a 20-minute walk versus not moving in the morning and waiting until lunch to do your 20-minute treadmill, then never leaving the house, that is a very, very, very different feeling about life and about yourself. There is a freedom that comes with moving outside that you do not get from moving inside. So everyone that's paying $7.99 or euros or whatever else, for those of us that are not in the US listening to this, it's not the same walking on a treadmill than it is walking outside. Because when you're outside and the sun is on your skin, it makes you feel alive, makes you feel like a fucking human being. And what you want to do when you're outside of that environment is come home and eat some fruit and some meat and some foods that humans have been eating since the beginning of time before obesity was ever a thing. And you go to a gym and walk for 20 minutes, you're looking at like, oh yeah, protein bar sounds good. Yeah, protein shake sounds good. Yeah, all this. And it's not that these things are bad. It's just the idea of going outside is such a more human experience. If you are not moving your body outside right now, for whatever reason, if it's too hot, go in the morning. I don't have the right shoes, walk fucking barefoot outside. Put your flip-flops on, right? It doesn't matter. But you absolutely, absolutely will feel better moving outside than you will inside. All cardio is not made the same. Get your ass off the treadmill and get walking down the side of the road. Again, walking on the treadmill is better than doing nothing, but the king of cardio is movement outside. Everyone that does it agrees. People that disagree are people that haven't quite done that. So challenge yourself and go and do it first thing in the morning. Watch how different your day is. Pausing the episode for 1 second to give y'all an update on my mom's weight loss journey. If you haven't listened, I've been coaching my mom through her weight loss journey for 9 weeks, and she had a big week this last week, lost just about 3 pounds, and has now gone from 209 to 198. She still has very little to no cravings, very little to no hunger, and is officially in what everybody loves to call Wonderland. She's kicking ass, and if you have not watched her journey, go back to a few episodes ago and you can follow along. Let's get back to the show. Number 7 is you got to meal prep on Sunday. Look, you do not need 21 plastic containers and microwaving all your food after weighing everything out tediously to the outs every single Sunday and have this big planned, dreaded thing of like planning out what you're going to eat for the week. If you're planning out what you're going to eat for the week, again, this is really for people that have 50 plus pounds to lose, that have been losing weight and gaining it back their whole lives. This is not for those of you that are like, yeah, I'd like to build 10 pounds of muscle. This is not for those of you that are like, I'd like to lose 7 pounds so I can get into my bikini or my dress so that my legs look better for a wedding. This is for the people that are like, I'm fed the fuck up with losing weight and gaining it back, and I don't want to die from something that I can control. My whole life is consumed by obesity, right? For those people, because that was me, you do not have to meal prep on Sunday. You do not have to meal prep ever. What you need to do is build a plan that gives you different options every day so that you can eat what you want, right? Whatever sounds good without having to worry about how many calories. And the way that I solve that for myself and for my clients through the common sense diet is one of the rules of the common sense diet a little before is to build go-to meals. All my clients here are very familiar with this, so they hear me talk about this all the time. But for you as a listener, the idea is that you build yourself 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, and 3 dinners, and then 3 options for eating out that all fit inside of your calorie and your protein goals already, because you did the math up front. Take you an hour to do the math up front, and then you stay stocked at all times with those ingredients. Make sure they're meals that you can make in less than 10 minutes, that are made so that there's never an issue of time, that are made of mostly whole and natural foods, so that you have less cravings and less food noise and more vitamins and minerals in your body, make you feel way better about life and more energized. You can make it in less than 10 minutes, like I said, so it's not an issue of time, and that you actually like the taste of and that are flexible. So flexible meaning you put different seasonings on them. You can swap rice for potatoes. You can swap out the different kinds of meats. You can swap high-fat yogurt to low-fat yogurt, honey for maple syrup, for different kinds of sweeteners. Make sure they're meals that are easily changeable. Measure them out one time, take a picture of it on your phone. Now you know what a normal portion of that food looks like, give or take 5 or 10%, doesn't really matter. Every single time you make it from there, you just eyeball it. Boom. In the last 45 seconds, you and I together just solved calorie counting and meal prepping for literally ever. Now you don't, and now when it's Sunday night, you're not planning out what you're eating for lunch on Wednesday. You're getting to Wednesday morning going, what do I want to eat for breakfast? I've got 3 options. What do I want to eat for lunch? I got 3 options. What do I want to eat for dinner? I got 3 options. I'm out. Boom. I've got these 3 places that I can go to that have these meals that I like that fit that same criteria of the common sense diet. You do not have to meal prep on Sunday. If you like meal prepping on Sunday, that's different. Most people just do not. Number 8 is that cheat meals are a part of a balanced lifestyle. Okay. If you are still, or cheat days, or cheat weekends, or cheat vacations, right? The reality is, look, would you cheat on your spouse? No. Right? It's why you cheating on yourself. And I'm not coming at you from this like, oh, you got to never eat unhealthy foods. What I'm saying is that the concept of having a cheat meal is perpetuating the on again, off again mentality. It's perpetuating an element of guilt and an element of, if pizza is my cheat meal, what that means is that I should not be eating pizza, but I'm letting myself do it because I deserve it. So you're just still kind of existing, and it perpetuates that get to make up for it the next day energy, that restart on Monday energy. The way out of this is to, 1, stop using the term cheat meals. 2, adopt the common sense diet mentality, which on the very basic level is just saying, eat healthy foods unless there's a reason not to. So what that means is your reason to not eat healthy foods needs to be something that you use your discretion and it feel good about. Like somebody's birthday, a promotion, a special occasion, a holiday. There should be about 1 to 2 of them or so a month. Every other week, there should be some sort of occasion. 4th of July, not family dinner, right? Someone's birthday, promotion, graduation, end of school year, start of summer, change of season, whatever it is that your family celebrates, that's when you eat bullshit food. And those are not cheat meals or cheat days. That's just you celebrating something through culture and connection and intentionally poisoning yourself with food that's bad for you because that's a part of being a human. It's also what we do with alcohol. It's why we take shots on our birthday and eat cake on our birthday. Everybody knows cake and alcohol are bad for you, but we still do it. It's societally appropriate. It's a part of being a human connection and culture, right? Cheat days are not a part of balance. Cheat days will throw you off balance. When you will stop feeling guilt around food and cheat meals as soon as you stop telling yourself that you deserve cheat meals, and as soon as you start paying attention to why you are eating the food. So when you get to the point where you just reserve these unhealthy or bullshit foods for special occasions, the whole concept of cheat days just completely falls on its ass. And there's no more on again, off again. Eating bullshit food is just a part of a lifestyle. It's part of a healthy lifestyle as well. And because you not eating foods, also the other side of this is like, I'm never eating cake again because I'm losing weight, is actually just cake completely controlling you. And the next time that you eat it, you're probably going to overdo it. So you need to get to the point where you're comfortable with these meals without feeling like they're a part of cheating. Number 9 is the scale defines your progress. Look, we're on a weight loss journey. So yes, the scale is going to define your weight loss progress. But the reason why you want to lose weight is to experience things that actually have nothing to do with the number on the scale. So the best way to measure your progress is to actually look at what's changing in your life, meaning your cravings, your hunger, your sex life, the way you feel when you look at yourself naked, your inner dialogue, all of these things are much more important than the scale. So the scale is a great representation of how things are going off of the scale when it comes to sustainability. Things can be going, so again, this is the difference between weight loss and sustainable weight loss. Weight loss is number on the scale. Yes, 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 I hit my weight loss goal. Ooh, this sucks, but I'm doing it. Sustainable weight loss is, wow, I'm noticing I'm having a lot less cravings and I'm feeling much more present because I'm thinking about food a little bit less. It's actually making work a little easier and just my life more enjoyable in general. And in turn, I'm not really like in this mentality of dieting anymore. It feels like I'm just living a healthy lifestyle. And as a result, the scale is moving. So the scale is a representation of our progress, but you benefit more from focusing on the things that are happening off of the scale behaviorally. Again, this is only for people that are interested in actually keeping the weight off, because then you kind of get rid of that whole like transition of, okay, now I hit my weight loss goal. How am I going to keep it off when you start already living that lifestyle and experiencing all of the non-scale victories of somebody that already has? Number 10, the myth, you hear this all the time. You cannot out-train a bad diet. That is absolutely dog shit. You can absolutely out-train a bad diet. You should not do that, but you absolutely can. For me, I lost 75 pounds in 6 months in 2019 and actually still had quite a bit of food-related issues for the next year or so. And I wasn't always eating the healthiest, but I was still doing a lot of that kind of over-exercising. I started running marathons and ultra marathons in the coming year to 2 years. And I actually was out-training a bad diet. So you actually can out-train a bad diet, but it perpetuates, again, the level of obsessiveness that I had at the time that you do not want to have. So though you can out-train a bad diet, you will need to, training will need to be your life. Training was my life for 2 hours every single day. And I ate whatever I wanted and I never gained any more weight. But assuming that you don't want to do that, because I realized I didn't want to do that for life. And that's when I started getting more control over food, right? You can out-train a bad, or you can out-train a bad diet, but if you find yourself thinking about out-training your diet, recognize that itself actually is an issue. Number 11 is you have to track every calorie. Look, when you set up your go-to meals, you do not have to track every single calorie. If you're logging everything in MyFitnessPal throughout your whole weight loss journey, ask yourself this question. Are you willing to log things in MyFitnessPal forever? And you might be, but you're probably not. And if you're saying yes, you might be lying to yourself, right? Again, think about the sustainability. It's not that there's anything wrong with logging, but are you learning anything from logging? Are you learning how many calories are in your foods so you don't have to log anymore? So and I'm not saying are you learning that there's 50 calories in that half slice of cheese so that you can do all the mental math and add it up without having to put it into an app. It's about building meals that fit inside of your calorie goals, right? If your maintenance calories are 2,000 and your 20% deficit is 1,600 a day, divide that up over 3 meals is 530 or 540 calories per meal. So learn how to build meals that are between 500 and 600 calories without having to count the calories anymore. And then do the same thing when you eat out. Again, that's the concept of go-to meals. If you do not do that, it's really one of the only ways to actually solve for not having to count calories is to standardize on a few different meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's what healthy people are already doing without thinking about it. They don't eat the same thing every day, but they have certain things that they eat most regularly. And you need to have that if you want to stop counting calories. You do not need to track every single calorie, but you do need to have an idea of how many calories are in the foods that you're eating. Pausing this episode for 1 second because I have an ask for you as the listener. I'd love to keep the show ad-free, and the best way you can support me in doing that is by leaving a rating on Spotify or Apple or even on YouTube if you're watching it there. It takes 5 seconds, and it really helps me to get this message out to other people and helps me to grow the show. And better yet, if you know someone in your life that has been constantly losing weight and gaining it back and struggling to actually sustain their results, send this to them because it might just be exactly what they need. Let's get back to the show. Number 12 is that healthy food is boring. I actually feel like junk food is boring now. And this is a transition where many of my clients feel this really early and it surprises them, but your taste buds change pretty quick when you stop eating a bunch of processed junk. Again, there's nothing wrong with processed junk, but when we're eating it all the time, it's making us feel like shit, making us feel a level of addiction to that food, right? Is food addiction even real? That's a whole nother podcast episode. Probably it isn't. But healthy food is not boring. You just prepare healthy food in a boring way. And you don't probably understand what healthy food really means. And here I am talking to my old fat self, not necessarily just you as the listener, but I'm sure you relate to some extent. Chicken and broccoli and rice, it's boring. Like that's a boring meal, right? But waking up and taking some Greek yogurt and putting honey in it with frozen fruit and some coconut whip on top and mixing it all up with some peanut butter is an amazing meal. And that's an extremely healthy meal, right? Making an adult Lunchable with some deli turkey and some cheese, whatever kind of cheese you like, with a couple hard-boiled eggs, with an apple and an orange or a banana, with 2 pieces of fruit. That meal actually gets me excited now. Or in the beginning, I would have thought that was really boring, but that's not the case. Going to McDonald's to get a Big Mac and a large fry, I'm so connected with how I would feel when I ate that, that feels boring to me. That actually sounds so shitty to me to eat. Yes, I still like junk food. Like ice cream does sound good. It doesn't run my mind the way that it did before, but if somebody had ice cream here, like looking at it, I'd be like, that ice cream does sound pretty good right now. But most of the junk food that I ate before, I don't eat anymore ever, really. Red Robin, McDonald's, fast food. The only fast food I really eat is Chick-fil-A probably once a month or once every month and a half at this point. But it's like, healthy food actually excites me now. And I never thought that I would get to that point, but just stay open to the idea. You don't have to be there right now. Stay open to the idea that healing and putting obesity behind you it will come when you actually start to feel that as your truth. And when you live long enough eating healthy foods, primarily, you will find yourself waking up and being excited for them. And you'll realize that healthy food is actually what you want. And that processed food is actually what's boring because you know that it makes you feel like shit right after you eat it and for the rest of the day and the next morning most of the time. It impacts how you feel about your life. Number 13 is I need to go insert diet here. I need to go keto, paleo, vegan. I got to go gluten-free. I got to go on Weight Watchers so I can watch the weight twice when I lose it and when I gain it back, whatever it is for you, right? You do not need to go on a traditional diet. You don't need a cult. You need a plan that you can live with for the next insert a number of years that you want to live for here, right? 10, 20, 50, 60 years, depending on your current age. And the reality is that that's probably not keto or paleo or vegan or Weight Watchers or meal prep delivery service or any of these sorts of things. You do not need to go on a traditional diet. The reason why I created the common sense diet, I call it a diet because it's a facetious marketing term. It's not actually a diet. It's a way of connecting with food and a way of building a system for yourself that actually makes things easier and more simple that you can do long-term, meaning for literally ever. That's what you need. Whether you do the common sense diet or not, no sweat off my back. You need to build something like that for yourself or somehow find something like that elsewhere. Otherwise, you'll be in this talking about your diet all the time, losing weight, not knowing how to exist without being on a diet because you're going to go keto and then hit your goal and go, I don't want to be keto forever. And then this question of like, well, how do I exist around carbs? Stop dieting. You don't need to go on a diet or be a part of a clique to lose weight. No, what you need to do is get clear on why you're eating the foods that you're eating and why you feel so much guilt and what emotions you're using food to hide from. Like that's where real healing happens. That's how you put it behind you. No diet will teach you that. A system will teach you that. Number 14, if I eat carbs, I'll gain weight. This is a half myth. If you eat a bunch of carbs, you are going to gain weight, but it's going to be water weight. We're not actually interested in weight loss. We're interested in fat loss. And even deeper than that, we're interested in freedom from food and dieting in our own fat minds and, spending all of our time wishing that things were different. Carbs are not a calorie from a carb is not any more fat gaining than a calorie from fat, right? Or vice versa, or any of that kind of stuff. Carbs are not the enemy. Carbs give us a lot of instant energy in a way that fat and protein might not. So what it does is that energy spikes our blood sugar level, gives us a little bit of a high, and it leads to us using food like a drug, the same way that people literally use drugs. The difference is that we need food to live. So the solution to obesity is not to stop eating the way that solution to alcoholism or drug addiction is to find a way to stop doing the drug. We need to connect more with the food instead of disconnecting from the food. So when you have a carb that feels like it runs your life, like French fries, just recognize that you can't, like, yes, take some time not eating any processed food so you can feel what it's like to be a human being. But there is a point where you need to be able to eat a couple French fries without eating two larges and saying, fuck it. So carbs will not make you gain weight. The reason that led to you overeating the carbs makes you gain weight, right? Food is not the problem. The things that you're using food to hide from are the problem. And problem's not even the right word. Area for growth and area for opportunity are actually the right words. So carbs are not the issue. Food actually is not the issue. Your relationship to it is the issue. And you, in your mind, are the issue, because there's plenty of skinny people and healthy people that still eat carbs. I eat carbs. Most of my carbs are fruit and rice and potatoes, but I still eat a lot of carbs. And I've been this way for 6 years. Number 15 is, I'm just broken. I'll never get there. Or insert excuse here. I'm too old. I'm a woman. It's easier for men. I'm postmenopausal. When I was premenopausal, this would have been easier. Insert whatever belief may or may not be true. Is it harder to lose weight post-menopause than premenopause? Yes. Right? Is it harder to lose weight when you're older than younger? Yes. Is it harder to lose weight when you're a woman, for women, than it is for men? Yes. Yeah, to some degree, it is, right? But the reality is that you didn't do that at the time. And you didn't have access to the information, right? I mean, that's a bit harsh. You also didn't have access to this sort of podcast or this sort of information, or even the concept of sustainability, because you probably grew up in an era where people told you that red meat was bad for you and fruit is making you fat because all sugar gets stored into fat and all this other shit that we now know is not actually true. It's not that you're broken and that you'll never get there. And it doesn't even matter if your excuse is valid. Like, some of y'all's excuses are actually valid, right? My excuses were valid. God, I'm fat and I don't have any muscle because I didn't play football when I was in high school the way that all these other kids did. So these people that I see lose weight, again, 10, 15 years ago, look really good and chiseled because they had this base muscle mass that I never had. So I would use this as an excuse. That excuse actually is true, but it's a belief that is very limiting, or called a limiting belief is what we call these, that prevents us from taking action. So it doesn't matter if what you are saying is true or not. The reality is that you need to take the action either way. So whenever you have an excuse, I'm too old. God, I feel like I'm just too old. You got to follow that up with something more positive. I feel like I'm just too old. The reality is it doesn't matter that I'm this old because I did not take aligned action over a period of time when I was younger. And the reality is that I don't want to be dealing with this for 5 more years. So I'm going to commit to doing this, even though it will be a little bit harder for me than it might have when I was 25 years old. And to make sure that you follow up your excuse with like an action that helps you come back to a frame of positivity and commitment. Because a lot of times you're just like, oh, I'm too old. And that's like the end of the conversation. Well, it's like, what the fuck do you do with that? Right? There's nothing that you can do with that. I'm a woman. It's harder for guys. It's like the real, when you get to the point where you can then say to yourself, who cares? That's when things are going to change. It's one thing for me to say that to you as the host of this podcast, or potentially as your coach, for those of you that are my clients. But sustainability is when you get to the point where you can have this sort of conversation with yourself and have it be actually real. And the last one, number 16, is calories in, calories out is all that matters. With weight loss is all about calories in, calories out. Sustainable weight loss is all about the quality of food and the reasons why you're eating the food and the things that led to you using food for more than what it was intended to be used for in the first place. So calories in, calories out is all that matters to hit the number on the scale. Your behavior and how you feel about life and food and yourself, your relationship to these things, ultimately is what dictates how sustainably you can eat in a calorie deficit without it sucking. So calories in, calories out matters, but what matters deeper than that is your relationship to food, your relationship to self, and your mindset, because without those things, you won't be able to do anything at any level of consistency. You made it to the end of this podcast episode. Thanks for being here. You absolutely have what it takes to lose weight, and you absolutely have what it takes to keep the weight off forever. If you'd like for me to guide you on the journey through what I call the common sense diet system, which is the same system that I built for myself to lose 110 pounds and actually keep it off this time after years of losing weight and gaining it back and restarting every single Monday, you can click the link in the description of this podcast episode or this YouTube video, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Either way, see y'all next week.